Hey guys, BrinkerCooks. I'm Brinker. What are we going to do? I'm going to walk you through, hopefully unedited, a quick trim on a whole packer brisket. Whole packer, what do I mean? I'm going to turn the camera and show you what I mean. Hold on just a second. Okay, so here we have a whole brisket. You've seen flats, you've seen points in the store. This is the flat, the points on this end. I have a sharp knife. I'm going to show you what I do for a quick, easy brisket trim. Cooking for friends, cooking for a buddy, whatever. Here's what I do. So I start by turning that meat side up, right? I want the meat facing me. This right here is a very, very thick, hard piece of fat. I'm going to cut that out. Now, I've done a lot of briskets. I catered, I did contests, thousands of briskets. When I say I've trimmed a lot of briskets, ballpark, 20,000 pounds a year for catering. Contests, probably trim 35, 40 of these a year, something like that. I trim a different kind for contest. I trim Wagyu briskets. Don't need those for home use. I mean, they're nice. They're really expensive. This is just a choice Angus brisket. Bought it from a big box store. You can buy them by the case. They're a little cheaper. You can get them one at a time. Why do I buy the whole one like this and not the flats? Because you get burnt ends. If you don't know what burnt ends, you really need to have them. It's a Kansas City thing. It's delicious. It's the point, which is cooked down, seasoned twice, cut into cubes. That's another video though. So right now, I'm just trimming a brisket up. So I have got the heavy fat off of here. Now we're gonna flip it over. On this side, here's just a big floppy spot. I'm gonna trim that off. Why? Just trying to get things kind of even. I'm gonna come over here. See how thick that is? I wanna get rid of some of that. I wanna leave like 1/4 of an inch of fat all across the outside. A 1/4 inch of fat across the outside is gonna cook down nicely. It's gonna render out. It's gonna keep things moist. When I say 1/4 inch of fat across the outside, I mean on the flat, which is this big piece here, not on the point. The point, I want most of the fat gone. So, still trimming towards my fingers. Don't do that. I've done a ton of these. I've been lucky not to lose any digits yet. I've certainly seen a number of old butchers that have got tips of fingers missing. You know those guys. Kind of like carpenters. It's hard to meet a carpenter that's got all of his fingers, or at least they're all intact yet. So I'm still trimming fat off. I'm going through this quickly. I know that. I'll slow down on the next one. I just want to get you a basic idea of what I do and make a short video so you guys don't forget about me. So, trimming the fat off. Trimming off a little bit of gray meat there that you see. Nothing wrong with it. Now I'm going to turn this around so I can draw the knife to me a little bit. Pull off some of the heavy fat that you see there. Now what's he going to do, you ask? Well, he's going to turn it back over. Can you see the grain running this way? So when we slice this thing later, when we eat it, we want to slice it this way. So we're cutting across the grain so that we get the most tender, flavorful product we can get. So what am I going to do to ensure I cut across the grain? Because sometimes it's hard to tell which way you're going. I cut a little piece right here that's perpendicular to the grain. So I know when I'm not going to throw that away, I'm going to give it to the dog. So I know when I go to cut this thing, slice it for service, I know I'm going to cut this way. My slice is that way. So I know that I am going across the grain. All right, now what do we do? So I'll flip it back. I'm going to turn it this way so you can see. Heavy end, thick end, that's the point, or the decal, some people call it. This is the flat. This is what you'll normally see in the grocery store. The whole thing's a lot cheaper. I want to say flats are selling for about $5 a pound now. Whole briskets, under $3, $2.69 maybe for this one. So what's he doing? He's going to go down in between the flat and the point. He's going to find a fat vein that runs in there. See what I'm doing here? Working my way down, trying to stay in that fat vein. I'm getting into the point a little bit. You can see how fatty that is. So I want to trim up that way. Keep going up. I'm going to trim off this big hunk of fat here. I want to get a lot of the fat out that's in between here because it's not doing us any good. There's really no benefit to it. Hi Pete, how you doing, bud? Yeah, I'm trying to brisket for you. Pete's the dog, he just showed up. He smelled the meat. They have a way, don't they? Okay, still getting rid of fat. I wish it was this easy to get rid of fat, trust me. Okay. Moving along here, cleaning up that point. This point, it's got a lot of fat running through it, so it's going to render down really, really well. That's why we're not overly worried about it, it drying out is what I meant to say. So we keep coming down along here, pardon me. Okay, now what have we done? We are separating, well, we're not completely separating, but ouch, got myself. So we're going to take this down here. Okay, yep, no blood, we're good. At least none of mine. That's why you want to be careful, and that's why I don't want to get in a hurry, which is exactly what I'm doing, because I just want a real quick video to kind of let you know what I end up with and how quickly it can be done. And then at some point we will go through in more detail how we get here. Maybe we'll call this a teaser video on brisket. I don't know. I like the sound of that. So we're going to flip this over. What have we done? Here's our flat down here. This cut, that came from the butcher. It was that way when I got it. It came from the processor. This little wonky piece hanging here, same thing, came from the processor. Cut it off. I'll go back over. So here's our flat. Beautiful flat piece of meat. When this thing is all done cooking, it's going to separate beautifully because all this fat in here is going to render out what I don't cut out. I know my arm's kind of blocking what I'm doing here, but I'm going to go under and I'm going to cut out this big, hard, nasty hunk of fat. Nobody wants to eat it. Don't be afraid to trim off a little bit of meat. If you give up an ounce of meat, it's better than having an extra half a pound of fat in the way. Okay, so here's our point. It's pretty well trimmed off on the bottom. So I'm just taking the big pieces off because they'll taste kind of like, if you can imagine Jell-O made out of warm fat, that's what they'll taste like if you cook them down. It's pretty disgusting. The fat that's on the flat is pretty good on that top slice, little piece of crust top. This fat that's on the point is not your friend. You want to render it off as best you can. So we go to the back side of that flat, or the point. Get as much off of here as we can. Try not to cut ourselves, or you try not to cut yourself. You already watched me stab myself once, but fortunately I didn't draw any blood. Sorry for the outfit. I'm in a pair of pajama pants and a white t-shirt. I know that's not making much of an impression, but hey, I bet you work in the kitchen too when you're not in your Sunday best. So now what am I doing? Again, just trimming this thing up. Okay, this is kind of thick. See how this is nice and fatty down here? See how there's not a lot there? Well, we're going to try to get this to cook the same. So when we cook this thing, we're going to flip this over here so we're all kind of the same thickness. Okay? Let's get that last piece of fat off of there. This is that point. These are the burn ends, which we'll get into those in another video. This is just a video on trimming it. That's all this is. What am I trimming off here? There's a little bit of gray stuff. Probably a little bit of bone dust from when it was processed. Hold on one sec. I'm back. So, again, all the fat off the point. Or I say all the fat. A lot of the fat. No thick pieces of it on the point. Point is still attached to the brisket, to the flat. We don't want to get rid of it. We want it all attached. We want it to play nice together in the barbecue pit. I want to be able to lay this in there so I can, like I said a while ago, kind of have this little piece of the flat protected and get this to kind of cook like it's all one level. So there is our flat. There's a point. A little bit more fat off of there. Big pile of scraps. Cleaned up pretty well. And some of my contest buddies are probably going to comment and say, Jeff, that's a horrible trim. What are you doing? Well, I'm not trying to win $15,000 or $20,000 with this. I just want something that tastes good. If you want a contest video or you want to see what guys do in the contest, there's a lot of guys out there that give great classes. Go to one and learn. That's what I did. So here we are. Points trimmed up. Flats trimmed up. Everything's pretty good there. I like to get a little bit of this fat off of the bottom of the flat. I want more seasoning in contact with meat. And this is going to be protected later in the pit. It's going to be another video. This is just going to be a really sharp one tonight. Hang on again. So I'm back. I have a pan. What's he going to do with the pan? He's going to lay that in there. We're actually going to cook in that thing. Different video, but we're going to cook in it. All right. I'm going to turn you up so I can see you. How's it going? All right. Brisket seasoning. See, it says brisket seasoning. What's in it? Chili powder, cumin, salt, black pepper, granulated garlic, a little bit of Mexican oregano, a little bit of adobo seasoning. That's pretty much it. That's what I like to put on a brisket. Nothing special. Certainly a little bit of a Southwest or Texas flavor. True Texas brisket, salt and black pepper. I like the chili. I'm a chili head anyway. So we're going to go back down to the brisket. Hold on. Hey there. So we're going to season the fat side. Just like that. I'm going to flip this over. Make sure I get some seasoning under there. I'll do that while we're at it. You almost can't have too much seasoning. It's a huge piece of meat. You're not going to over season it. You think, oh my gosh, that's a lot of salt. Or, oh no, I'm using too much pepper. You're not. It's just going to be on the outside edge of it anyway. So we do that. Flip over. Take a look at this. Get anything we missed. Go back here. Now we're seasoning across the meat. That's the top of the flat. This is going to get cooked tomorrow. Will there be a video on that? All depends on how my tomorrow goes. I do have a real job and I have things I have to do. So that's done. Me again. Anyway, we trimmed it fast. What do? We cleaned up the point or the decal to get almost all the fat off so we can make burn ends out of it, or it's good sliced. We trimmed up the meat side. Sorry, I was in a hurry. Bought my brow. My assistant's not here. And we have the flat cleaned up. The best slices are going to come out of the flat. That's the leanest slices. The point, again, that's burn ends. And that's it for tonight. See you guys.